We are joined now by Alina Habba, one of the Trump attorneys who has been battling so much of this crazy, ridiculous lawfare. Alina, I've been trying to put my lawyer hat on here. I don't practice, thankfully, anymore, and they're trying to take my law license away for saying that I hope somebody
Clay's
on the
focus has
jury.
been jury selection for a while
Yeah.
now.
I don't know if you saw that, but they're trying to take my law
No.
license away for saying that I hope somebody's a patriot on the jury and will vote not guilty in the current case with Stormy Daniels. But I want to start here with you. I went and read the transcript of the Stormy Daniels testimony and the cross-ex that has happened so far. I don't see how in the world this is not grounds for a mistrial. Whatever you think about Trump, there's no reason that there should have been any testimony at all about the alleged sexual act. It doesn't involve in any way the accusations that have been made against Trump in the affidavits or the crimes. Looking at this purely, I know you're a Trump attorney, but you've been in a lot of courtrooms. Can you believe that the judge allowed the testimony that he did yesterday?
No. I don't want to speak about her in particular. Obviously, she's a witness and she's under oath currently, and we haven't done our cross-examination completely yet. So let me speak generally. When you have a case like this that's about books and records, there is only one reason to distract. There is only one reason to have any kind of testimony that wouldn't have to do directly with the facts and the law on point. And I think that the reason is very simple. The whole purpose of this case, and I've said this a million times, and I think it became very clear, frankly, this week, was that this is solely to, number one, keep President Trump off the campaign trail, because I don't think Biden can beat him if he was fully campaigning. I think he can't beat him even with the minimal campaigning that he's able to do with all of these Biden administration trials, right? So that's first. Second, it's very clear that there just isn't a case. It was clear when the case was brought with the indictment, when DA Bragg couldn't say what the basis was. That was the first indication in his press conference. And now it's even more clear because there's distraction after distraction. There were guardrails put in place. There was extensive motion practice by the attorneys. And I think that, when it's disregarded, I think that's grounds for a mistrial.
Alina, it's Buck. Thanks for being with us. I want to make sure that I have this right, because the way, for example, I've been saying that when they refer to this as a hush money trial, that's not really accurate, because it's a business records trial. And I feel like they like to call it a hush money trial because it sounds maybe a little more salacious or whatever.
Salacious.
But the paying of the hush money, I'm sorry?
Yeah, no, I agree. Salacious,
yeah,
exactly.
The paying of the hush money, clearly not illegal. The illegal act here that they're alleging, just really, can you just take us through? So the claim is that they said it was a legal expense in Trump's own records. It's not even like this was, provided to the public in some big way or, under oath or anything else. The legal records internally for Trump of saying that this was a legal expense to pay off this woman who was extorting Donald Trump, by the way, that then, because that could have had some ancillary effect on public perception about Donald Trump had it gone out because they had to record it, that could have affected the election, and therefore it's election interference. Is that basically right?
Yes. So basically, let's say you settle a case let's say President Trump right now settles a case, and he books settlement as a legal expense. And he didn't even book it. Let's remind everybody, that he was in the White House. And this was booked by the Trump Organization, by an accountant who didn't speak directly to President Trump. And, we have those.
Wait, Alina, I'm sorry. Clear. This is really important, though. If that's the case, how could it affect the election if he had already won the election?
Well, that's the whole point. It doesn't. It's a far-reaching witch hunt, and it's a hoax. And he says that, and I love those adjectives, but the amount of Americans that can actually explain what this trial is about is very small, because no one knows, because there's just so much noise. But you explained it really well. Look, a lawyer was paid. A lawyer invoiced the Trump Organization. They booked that payment as a legal expense, period, the end. Now, you bring in all the other noise, and I'll just speak generally. All that noise That's for political reasons. That's not laws and facts, and that's not what's supposed to happen in courtrooms. But I've seen it. You guys have seen it now for many, many months. These court proceedings are now no longer about court, about justice, about law and order, about the Constitution. They're about, number one, getting President Trump off the campaign trail. Number two, trying to embarrass him. And number three, made up stories that are all being done in coordination. And if there's any question about that, just look at the White House logs. Why are all these people visiting the Biden administration right before they bring claims against President Trump? Why are some of these cases like this one? 8 years later, two DAs said they weren't going to bring charges. And the only time they decided then to change their mind and bring it was after he said he was running. I mean, it's a story that I wish I wasn't seeing in American history, but it's real and it's happening. And we're in the fight of our lives at this moment.
Alina, I'm sure you saw New York City Mayor Eric Adams say that there had been preparations in the event that Trump were put in jail at Rikers Island and how they would handle it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming on the defense team, you guys have to sit around and talk about how you would respond in the event that Judge Merchan, who has threatened this, did decide for a contempt of court citation to put Trump in jail. What would the defense do? And what is the appellate process like? I frankly don't know, to keep Trump from being put in a jail cell over these contempt allegations, which to me are a clear restriction of his ability to campaign and aren't on their face. Again, this is my legal opinion, aren't on their face permissible given what's going on right now. But how much preparation do you guys have in the event that Merchan decides to escalate this and puts Trump in a jail cell over what he has been saying?
Yeah, I really can't speak to that. Anything like that would be privileged. I can tell you that obviously that would be completely ridiculous and unconstitutional. His First Amendment rights are being violated. He can't speak. But if you have any question about it, look at how the other side can speak. There's no gag order for them, but the defendant, who's supposed to have a trial and be innocent until proven guilty, he's the one with a gag order. Usually it's the other way around. And by the way, they're doing the same acts. They're out there spreading words. People involved in the case are talking about it. It's crazy. As far as the whole jail thing, you know, there's so many levels. The fact that we're even talking about it makes me sick. But there are so many levels of people. There's obviously, you know, Secret Service detail that covers him. And then, and when I say cover, I mean, they're his details. So I'm sure that he would be involved. But no, that's not something we sit around and talk about. Right now, what we do is try and fight this ridiculous case against DA Bragg.
I you know, we have so many questions. I want to ask you about all these other trials as well. How is Trump able, you know, how is President Trump able to just keep showing up and keep doing this? On just a personal level, I'm curious. I know people that have been broken by, you know, like a tax investigation or something in the past. He's facing 4 criminal indictments of a farcical nature, and yet he still seems to have pretty good cheer, pretty good energy.
Yeah, I think he said it best. He said, "Life is life." If he were to allow this to break him, then what hope do we have? And I think he sees the big picture, that he really is in the way between them and us, and he needs to get to November. He needs to win this election so that we can save our country. So I honestly think it all turns on that. You know, he's not just a regular guy. He's a former president. He's likely the future president. And if he doesn't fight like hell, we're in trouble. So I think that motivates a certain person. And, you know, not everybody can put up with what he's put up with. He's resilient and strong. So, you know, and I don't just say that. He truly is.
Alina, we appreciate the battles that you're fighting on behalf of Trump. I know a lot of our listeners do too. Last question for you, because I know you have to get out. Georgia Court of Appeals is going to consider Fani Willis, whether she should stay on the case. Also, down in South Florida, Judge Eileen Cannon has ended the May 20th trial date. Both of those big wins for the Trump team. What can you say about those decisions that have come down in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, I think they're great decisions. I think they're a step in the right direction. Obviously, we still have a lot of work to do. But, we saw with the Jack Smith cases and all these cases, they're falling apart. We've seen Miss Willis, she's obviously dealt with financials in the way that she should not. She's hired people she should not. She's had alleged relationships that she should not, et cetera, et cetera. And again, political lawfare. Jack Smith, we saw that they mishandled the evidence. They were sloppy, and then they decided to just put that in the footnote and maybe thought nobody would notice. I'm not really sure what their idea was there, but it's this constant rush of trials to try and get him in front of a court before the 2024 election, to try and hope that they get a judge that is left-wing, get a left-wing jury maybe, and see him get taken again off the campaign trail, possibly in jail. This is what they want. It's by design. But with time, we're seeing, as in the past couple days, that these do get crumbled. We saw it with the AG case, $475 million. It took us some time in the appellate division, but then they brought it down. There is a due process. There is some remnants of law and order in our country, and slowly and surely it will reveal what their true intentions were, and these cases will and should all be dismissed.
Alina Habba, everybody, Trump attorney. Alina, we would really like it if you'd come back as more developments happen here and just tell us what's really going on, because this audience is very attuned to this, and we can all see the injustice that's being perpetrated against President Trump. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for staying in the fight.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
We'll take some of your calls on this here coming up. 800-282-2882. With all the focus on artificial intelligence and how it can move the stock market and actually change the future of the American economy, what stocks are going to be most affected by this? It's something that you could spend a lifetime studying and not have all the answers, but you don't have that much time, right? You got to actually just get the best information you can from an expert. And the expert that you should check out on this is writer and editor Mark Chaikin. Mark anticipates what AI is going to do in our economy, and specifically what stocks are going to have big moves. Mark worked on Wall Street for 50 years. He invented 3 new indices for the NASDAQ. So Mark has agreed right now to share one of his favorite AI stocks to buy with you, because he doesn't want Americans to miss out on a critical turning point in the stock market. He put everything for you in a new presentation you can watch for free at 2024aistock.com. That's 2024aistock.com. Paid for by Chaikin Analytics.